To everything, there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. I have recently become more open to the possibility that maybe God or the Spirit or the universe is sometimes trying to tell me something. And so it was that while washing my hands at a Brooklyn restaurant last night, I saw a little poster with this message: wash your hands, say your prayers, because Jesus and God, Jesus and germs are everywhere. Yesterday, a friend sent me a message. You got to walk into 2024 like God sent you. I'll admit that the first thing I thought of when I saw that was that fine film from the 80s, The Blues Brothers, with Don Aykroyd repeating to anyone who would listen and a lot of people who wouldn't listen, "We're on a mission from God." But after a bit, I began to take my friend's message more seriously. What would it mean to walk into 2024 like God was sending me? It won't shock you to be reminded that New Year's Eve is not really a religious holiday, just a quirk of the Gregorian calendar. As followers of Jesus, we know that new life can happen anytime, that new birth in response to the invitation of God can happen anywhere. You don't need some special day for that. But since the 1730s or so, at the urging of John Wesley, the Methodist movement has used New Year's Eve as a chance to think about and refocus one's life, to assess things as they are for you, but realize that we're not bound to them, not bound by them, and we can walk into a new year, indeed, like God is sending us. The Revised Common Lectionary Committee, in their wisdom, includes lectionary readings prescribed for this very day. From the Hebrew Scriptures, we have words of wisdom from the book of Kohelet in Hebrew, or Ecclesiastes as it is in Latin, both of which mean the preacher. And from the preacher come these vaguely existential words that began our call to worship. For everything there's a season, and there's a time for every matter under heaven. I think more to the point is the passage suggested from the gospel about the separation of the sheep from the goats. I've spoken about that before, as recently as last Sunday. But what makes the passage interesting as a New Year's Eve text is that it lays out a fairly practical plan for how to move into 2024 like God is sending us. Here's the mission from God, as we heard Nancy read it. Give someone who's hungry something to eat and work to end hunger. Offer water to some thirsty person and make sure that everybody has access to clean water. Welcome some stranger into your life and work to change our immigration policy. Risk caring for a sick person and let's make sure everybody has access to health care. Drop in on or drop a note to an incarcerated friend or acquaintance, and do what you can to end mass incarceration. Those are more or less the words of Jesus in Matthew 25. It's as simple as that, and as challenging as that. Now, mostly we live our lives for ourselves, and there's really nothing wrong with that. You matter. I matter. But Jesus has something different in mind for all of us. Living life as if other people matter just as much. As the German theologian Bonhoeffer tells us, Jesus Christ was der Mensch für andere, the person for others, the person for other people. And Bonhoeffer says the church is the church only when it exists for others, not dominating but serving. It must tell people of every calling what it means to live for Christ is to exist for others. That's how to walk into 2024 like God is sending you. The real challenge of that is clear in the sheep and goat passage, and that is intention. Sometimes I do something nice for someone, and my purpose for doing that is to feel good about myself, and maybe even have somebody else notice that I did that good thing and think something nice about me. Well, that's okay, but it's not what Jesus is talking about with the sheep and the goats. The sheep in his illustration aren't aware that they're doing anything good. They're just living life as though other people matter. Intention. Keeping life focused on the needs of other people as well as your own. In a few moments, Benz is going to share with us her upcoming work with No More Deaths. That's a faith-based organization with this simple and clear purpose. The mission of No More Deaths is to end death and suffering in the Mexico-U.S. borderlands through people of conscience working openly and in community to uphold fundamental human rights. Benz will tell us more about what that really means, but it can be as simple as following that Jesus imperative to make sure someone who is desperately thirsty has access to life-giving and life-preserving water. So, what's your mission from God? What's your mission from God for 2024? You're on your own to discover that one, but I'll leave you with these three things to consider while you do. First, you matter. Your life matters. And it matters not only to yourself, your life matters to a lot of other people. Second, you are a blessing to people around you because you exist for them as well as yourself. Third, and maybe most important, your life is a blessing to the God who made you, loves you, and needs you to do the work of Jesus. To everything, there is a season. And so let's use this season to refocus our lives for the purpose for which we were created. And in the meantime, remember, wash your hands, say your prayers, because Jesus and germs are everywhere, God knows. Amen.